Live for all North Texas. Good Day at 8 a.m.
Well, common sense eating could help you lose weight. Next, we're going to meet a man who lost more than 200 pounds and is keeping it off.
It's 24 minutes away from 9 o'clock. Welcome Roger Troy Wilson, who is a remarkable story. I mean, he looks great now. The before and after pictures, however, are absolutely amazing. If we can take a look at those. There you are on the book cover. 230 pounds ago, roughly?
230 pounds ago, I weighed 425 pounds and had a 5-foot waist and a 22-inch neck.
Wow. And you were a successful businessman, nonetheless.
I was a successful businessman, Tim, but I was absolutely, I could not stand my life.
Yeah.
All of the successes meant nothing to me.
What is it like when you're carrying that much weight around? Is it a burden emotionally as well?
It's an emotional burden. It's embarrassing for your family and for your friends. It's you feel like you're out of control. When you go into a big man store and nothing will fit you. In other words, I had outgained everything they had in the store. I had sleep apnea so bad that my wife thought I was dying. I had acid reflux so bad that I was hurting when I would eat food, and yet I was addicted to food. I had high blood pressure, all those things.
What was it that made you turn the corner and say, enough of this?
It was absolutely God's will. What happened is my son put some grapes in the freezer, and I started eating frozen grapes at night for snacks, and I started losing weight, even though I was eating fattening during the day.
Yeah.
And of course that started it, and then I started awakening in the middle of nights with new ideas on what and how to eat, and then the diet developed. And what I was going to tell you is with other diets, what happens is you either end up being hungry all the time, or you end up craving the foods that are not on the diet. With Let's Do Lunch, you're never hungry because you eat until you're full. And Let's Do Lunch eliminates all your cravings.
And basically, lunch is a real key to it. What you eat at lunch then controls what happens the rest of the day.
Well, that's correct. What happens is this. Let's Do Lunch says you should eat heavy protein at lunch so you can last until dinner time without craving fattening snacks in the afternoon.
And a lot of this is not rocket science. It, in a way, tracks some of the same things that we've heard in some of the other diets about avoid the pasta and the bread and so forth.
Right, but that's hard to do.
Yeah.
And the reason it's hard to do is because if you're avoiding carbohydrates, your body starts craving them. So what I discovered is that some carbohydrates are totally non-fattening, like beans, corn, popcorn, peas, salads. All of those foods are totally non-fattening, and I developed recipes that you can eat until full and lose weight. There are over 70 recipes in the book that you can eat until full and lose weight, and they're in all the food groups.
Now, and I suspect there's also an exercise component. That's what they always tell you, is you got to exercise too.
No exercise. There are people that do exercise. I recommend people exercise, but my mom's 85 years old, and she lost 51 pounds on this program without exercise of any kind. And my wife, and here's what'll blow your mind. My wife my wife saw me lose this weight.
Right.
And she did not believe that she could lose the weight by eating the way I ate. She thought she would gain weight.
Right.
I talked her into it. She wanted to lose 8 pounds. She lost 23.
Absolutely amazing stuff. We should point out the book is available at bookstores all over.
All over, or you can go online
right.
at the website of your favorite bookstore and buy it there.
Okay, the book is called Let's Do Lunch. You got a website, letsdolunch.com as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim.
You're an amazing testimony.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
To willpower as well.
God bless all of you out there, and go get Let's Do Lunch. You'll love it.
Thank you.
At one time, our first guest today weighed 425 pounds, and he'll tell you he had a 5-foot waistline. Now, one night, Roger Troy Wilson sat on his bed crying and praying for God to take his life and send him to heaven. Well, apparently, God had a different plan, because Roger's Carb Heaven weight loss book is entitled Let's Do Lunch, and it's in bookstores right now. Roger Troy Wilson is here this afternoon. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Bill. You too.
Welcome in from Florida.
Thank
for a
you
couple
so
of days.
much. Thank you.
All right, that was the big picture of the book. Molly, can we take the close-up shot just very quickly of what Roger looked like? That's the same man, believe it or not. You are unrecognizable.
That's true.
How about that? That is what makes your weight loss program better than all the others that are out there?
Well, Bill, with other diets, you fail for one of two reasons. Either you end up being hungry all the time, or you end up craving foods that are not allowed on the diet. With Let's Do Lunch, you're never hungry because you eat until full at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and Let's Do Lunch eliminates all your other cravings.
Let's show some of the folks out there what the key elements are to this. And I guess what hooked me first was you eat until you're full.
Right.
And then you think you like carbs in your diet, just smart carbs, you say.
Absolutely.
Explain to the folks what you mean by that.
All right, what happens is this regarding the cravings. I discovered that there are starchy carbohydrates that are totally non-fattening, like all the different beans, corn, popcorn, peas. Okay, those carbs are non-fattening and you can eat them until full and lose weight. And when you eat those carbs, it eliminates the cravings for the empty calorie carbs of bread, pasta, potatoes, and rice. Then I discovered that as far as sweets are concerned, if you eat the sweetest fruits, Bill, like the cherries, grapes, frozen grapes, pineapple, watermelon, bananas, fruit smoothies, which are like a fruit milkshake.
Because a lot of people tell you those has too much sugar in them.
It doesn't matter. You can eat all those fruits that you want, and you will lose weight. Not only that, but by eating them, you eliminate your cravings for the desserts, candy, and sugar snacks. And then the name of the book, Let's Do Lunch, comes from eating heavy protein at lunchtime so you can get through until dinner time without craving fattening snacks in the afternoon.
Now, I know in your book you talk about protein. Of course, there's popular diets out there that say fill up on protein, 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 no carbs. One thing you always steered clear of, though, were bacon and any pork products, though.
Well, I steer clear of all fattening meats. Every meat on the program is a lean meat.
Okay. Now, what about when it comes to what doctors are saying about this? I want to throw up the quote real quick about what a registered dietitian said, and she said that you're essentially ahead of your time. There it is. He may well be ahead of his time and ahead of what scientists have continually sought to find as a healthy diet. This is from Ruth Davies, registered dietitian at Edison College down in Florida. What about exercise with this? Because they say, okay, sure, you can stop eating, but you got to exercise.
All right, let me explain this to you. My mom is 85 years old. Yeah. She's 87 now, but when she was 85, she started Let's Do Lunch, and she lost 51 pounds without exercise of any kind. Now, my wife is an exercise nut, but she needed to lose 8 pounds and didn't believe that she could do what I did and lose weight. She said, if I eat that way, I will gain weight. I had to convince my own wife to do this program. Well, to make a long story short, she didn't lose 8 pounds, she lost 23, and she still exercises. And I lost 230 pounds and 24 inches around my waist. So yes, exercise is great. That's great for your health, and you will lose the weight a little faster, but it's not necessary in order to lose the weight.
Speaking of your health, and we have a little bit of time here left, tell the story about when you were losing all the weight, what your wife made you do.
Oh, when I had lost about 195 pounds and been on the program about 18 months, my wife did not believe that I had lost the weight because of the way I was eating. She believed that I had a severe illness. She thought I had cancer, and she made me go to the doctor to have a physical. When I came home and told her I was fine, she cried.
I believe it.
She absolutely cried.
I believe it.
And so it was an incredible situation to have my wife, who lived with me for 30 years as I was a diet failure, a professional diet failure, morbidly obese, ended up on the edge of my bed praying that I would die. I had sleep apnea so bad that she thought I was dead. Yeah. I had acid reflux so bad, Bill, that when I swallowed food, it hurt.
All related to your weight?
Yes, absolutely. And I had high blood pressure. All those things are gone. It's absolutely an incredible situation.
Roger Troy Wilson, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless. Again, it's in all the bookstores.
It is. It's called Let's Do Lunch.
It's online at Amazon.com.
And it's got 70 recipes inside this book right here. Thank you very much. Welcome to Nashville. Enjoy your visit.
Thank you very much.
If you'd like to know more about Roger and Let's Do Lunch, go to our website, WSMV.com, and click on the More at Midday section, because we've set up a link to Roger's webpage and to the book.
Well, our next guest says that you'll never have to diet again, even if you're a professional diet failure like he was for 30 years. He weighed 425 pounds with a 60-inch waist. He tried countless diets, found it impossible to stick to any of them. But that all changed when he developed his own method to lose 230 pounds and keep it off. And he says it'll work for you too. Roger Troy Wilson is the author of Let's Do Lunch, and we're delighted to welcome him to Talk of the Town today.
Thank you, Meryl. Thank you very much.
So you were a super successful guy in every aspect of your life except this one.
Yes, in fact, I worked my way up the corporate ladder to the top level of management. Then I started my own business, which became a multi-million-dollar manufacturing corporation. Then I built a multi-million-dollar, that's hard to say, multi-million-dollar portfolio in the stock market. And then I even became a partner in a Wall Street brokerage firm. But all of that success meant absolutely nothing. I was miserable, lost, out of control. I had a 5-foot waist. I weighed 425 pounds, and I ended up on the edge of my bed praying to God that I would die and go to heaven.
That desperation.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
God saved my life.
And what happened was that you, after being on zillions of diets, you tried everyone, failed at everything. This idea came to you.
Well,
for something else to do.
It was over a period of 15 years working with, experimenting with different foods and eating patterns that it came to me. But what basically it amounts to, Meryl, is that with Let's Do Lunch, you eat until you're full at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and Let's Do Lunch eliminates all of your cravings. For example, I discovered that there are carbohydrates that are totally non-fattening and can be eaten until full and lose weight. And those are all the beans. I'm talking about pinto beans, northern beans, navy beans, butter beans, lima beans. All the beans are non-fattening.
Is that because they're high fiber?
Well, they're high nutritional density foods, but they just don't turn into body fat in your body.
Okay.
Then corn is non-fattening. Can you
and that
believe
flies in the face of what all diets say.
Corn is non-fattening,
Okay.
which means popcorn is non-fattening. For example, Orville Redenbacher Smart Pop 94% fat-free butter popcorn, I believe is non-fattening. That's hard to get that out too. The butter is not, there's no butter in that popcorn. It's soybean oil, but I discovered that soybean oil and olive oil are also non-fattening. So that popcorn's non-fattening. Then I discovered peas are non-fattening and salads are non-fattening. But here's what'll blow your mind. When you eat all of those carbs, it eliminates the cravings for the fattening carbs.
Okay.
Now, sweets, that's the other big craving thing. If you eat the sweetest fruits, the cherries, the grapes, frozen grapes. Have you ever tried frozen grapes?
Love frozen grapes.
Frozen grapes. Bananas.
Watermelon?
Fruits, watermelon, pineapple, bananas, fruit smoothies, which are like a fruit milkshake. You eat those sweet fruits and it eliminates your cravings. I had to force myself to eat fruits when I first started this. But once I did that, my body became addicted to the fruits. And when I ate those fruits, it eliminated my cravings for the desserts, candy, and other sweet snacks. Now, here's what'll blow your mind. There's 100 calories in 10 to 12 grapes. You can eat all the grapes you want. I mean, you can eat pounds of them, thousands of calories of them. I did it when I started, and lose weight. Now let's do lunch.
Okay. And lunch is the focus of your diet.
You can eat Let's Do Lunch at dinner, but you should eat Let's Do Lunch at lunch. What that is this. You eat extra protein for lunch. Steaks, hamburgers, chicken, turkey, fish, but extra protein at lunch so that you can last until dinner time without craving that fattening afternoon snack.
Okay.
And by doing that, you're less hungry in the evening, so you eat less, and therefore you get a better night's sleep, and you have less food in your body to turn to fat.
Wow. What did your doctor say about this weight loss plan?
Well, I have to tell you, my wife did not believe that she could eat the way I eat and lose weight, because I lost 230 pounds and 24 inches around my waist.
How long, by the way?
2 years.
Okay.
My 85-year-old mom lost 51 pounds without exercise of any kind. Now let's talk about my wife, though. My wife, I've been married to her, this is our 50th year. My wife wanted to lose 8 pounds. She watched me lose this weight and did not believe that she could eat this way and lose weight. She said to me, if I ate the way you eat, I would get fat. She said, you were fat, that's why you lost the weight. I said, honey, just try it. She did, she didn't lose 8 pounds, she lost 23.
Wow. Is exercise a component of your diet?
Doesn't have to be. I believe in exercise. I believe everybody should exercise because it's healthy for you. But in order, and you lose it faster if you exercise. Sure. But you do not have to. I just mentioned my mom, 85 years old, losing 51 pounds. She picks up the newspaper off the driveway. That's her exercise. Okay. But now, I want to also mention this to you. That people can go to letsdolunch.com and click on bulletin boards, and they can talk with other Let's Do Lunch dieters. Once you do that, you'll want to get started right away.
So you've got a support network right there because you talk to the other people.
Oh, it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And the book is available in all the bookstores and on Amazon.com. I have to say that because Thomas Nelson's the publisher right here in Nashville.
Tell me, what's the dumbest thing that dieters do?
Well, the dumbest thing that dieters do is we try to eat light all day so that we can get to dinner, and what happens, we inevitably fail because in the middle of the afternoon we go for the fattening snack, and then we feel like we've blown it, at least for the rest of that day.
Yeah. I tell you what, it's interesting stuff. It's called Let's Do Lunch by Roger Troy Wilson. It's available at local bookstores, Amazon.com, and we'll link you to Roger's website, letsdolunch.com, for more.
God bless him.
Even though Roger Troy Wilson was the founder of a multi-million-dollar corporation, a TV newscaster, a golf and tennis champion, and a partner in a Wall Street brokerage firm, he was also a professional diet failure. He spent 15 years trying every way imaginable to get rid of the extra 200-plus pounds that threatened his life and really made him miserable. Like so many others, Roger had a difficult time sticking to any diet until one day when he discovered an amazing way to lose the weight and still eat all the foods he liked. Today, he's ready to share the secret to his success that can be found in his latest book, Let's Do Lunch. And Roger, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
You know, it's hard to believe that that's really what your life was like. I mean, you were so successful. You retired at 41, yet that one area in your life, you said that you asked God to just take you home. You didn't want to live anymore.
Kelly, I had everything going for me. Everybody thought I was just fantastically happy and successful, and yet I was miserable. I was desperate. I was out of control. I weighed 425 pounds. I had a 5-foot, 60-inch waist.
Wow.
I ended up sitting on the edge of my bed, tears rolling down my face, and I prayed to God that I would die and go to heaven. I was that desperate. It was absolutely unbelievable. And then I started awakening in the middle of nights with new ideas on how and what to eat.
Now, before then, you tried every diet. I mean, it's not like you didn't try,
I was
30
years morbidly obese, and almost every day of my life starting a new diet, certainly every Monday.
Right.
And it got to the point that I tried acupuncture. I even got shots from an obese doctor.
Oh, my goodness.
It doesn't tell you much about my intellect, but
Wasn't working for him.
That was so funny. That's another story for another time.
But that's like a really a downward spiral, isn't it? Because the more you go on those diets and come off the diets, the more weight you actually gaining. You're messing up your metabolism and your emotional balance. Everything is just spiraling out of control.
It was so bad that my wife I would eat the food, and then I'd tell my wife, "Now throw the rest of this away because I'm going to start my diet tomorrow." It got to the point where she would hide the rest of the food because she didn't want to spend the money again.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's unbelievable.
But many people find themselves in that situation. And so you got desperate. You cried out to God.
Right.
And then it was like one day something happened. It's like you
found in the middle of nights, God started, I believe God didn't have any conversation with God, but I believe he started awakening me in the middle of the nights with new ideas. And here's what happens. With other diets, the reason they don't work is you end up either being hungry all the time, or you end up craving foods that are not allowed on the diet. With Let's Do Lunch, you're never hungry because you eat until full at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And Let's Do Lunch eliminates all of your cravings. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly how it works. I'm not going to say read the book. I'm going to tell you exactly how it works. I discovered that there are carbohydrates that are totally non-fattening and can be eaten until full and lose weight. And those are beans, all the beans, pinto beans, butter beans, lima beans, navy beans, northern beans, all non-fattening. You can eat them until full and lose weight. Corn is non-fattening. Now, that'll blow your mind.
I thought it was very
Corn
fattening.
is non-fattening. Therefore, popcorn is non-fattening. Now, listen to this. Orville Redenbacher's Smart Pop 94% fat-free butter popcorn. It's hard to get out.
That's a mouthful.
That butter popcorn, I believe, is totally non-fattening, and I explain why in the book. Peas are non-fattening. Salads are non-fattening.
Right.
Now, here's what happens. You eat those carbohydrates, and they're non-fattening. And when you eat those carbohydrates, It eliminates the cravings for the fattening carbohydrates.
Refined sugars and all
But what you're
that.
saying
Right.
is that you can eat as much of all of that as you want, though?
High nutritional density carbohydrates replace the empty calories of the other fattening carbohydrates. Now, I'm going to really blow your mind here. There's 100 calories in 10 to 12 grapes. Okay? I discovered you can eat all the sweet fruits you want. I'm talking about cherries, grapes. Have you ever had frozen grapes?
No, I haven't.
Oh, out of this world. Bananas, watermelon, pineapple, fruit smoothies, which are like a fruit milkshake. You can eat all those fruits you want. I don't care how many calories are involved, and lose weight. Not only that, but when you eat those fruits, it eliminates your cravings for the desserts,
Right.
candy, and other sweet snacks. Now, let's do lunch. Let's do lunch. You eat extra protein at lunchtime. Steaks, hamburger, chicken, turkey, fish, but extra protein so that you last until dinner time without craving those afternoon fattening snacks.
Now, one of the things you say is that you can eat what you want as much as what you want. Now, you talked about the fruits and the vegetables that we can eat as much of. So when you're doing lunch and you're talking about eating the protein, you can't eat as much as you want of that,
Yes,
can you?
you can.
I can have 4 chicken breasts if I want?
Yes, ma'am. In fact,
I probably couldn't eat it,
no,
but...
yeah, that's right, you can't. See, that's the whole thing. Remember that Let's Do Lunch foods are very nutritional. They're healthy foods, but healthy foods we all love. Now, the point, what happens then, when you eat that large lunch, you have all afternoon to work that off. You're active. It's not at night when you're laying there in bed with your body being dormant,
Right.
and all that food turns to fat. You're eating a heavy lunch now, right? Now, what happens is that carries you over because you don't get those afternoon fattening snack
Right.
cravings, okay? And then at night, you're still not as hungry, so you eat a lighter dinner. You end up going to bed getting a better night's sleep, and you have less food in your stomach to turn to fat while you're sleeping. It's absolutely incredible. And I want to say this. I lost 230 pounds and 24 inches from my waist. My dear wife wanted to lose 8 pounds. She did not believe. Now, when you read this book, you're going to say it's too good to be true. It works. It works. My dear wife wanted to lose 8 pounds. I could not convince her to do the diet because she said, if I eat that way, I will gain weight.
Right.
I said, honey, please just try it. She tried it. She didn't lose 8 pounds. She lost 23.
Oh,
Wow.
my
My
goodness.
85-year-old mom lost 51 pounds without exercise of any kind. And if you go to letsdolunch.com and click on bulletin boards in the left-hand column, you can go in there and talk with other Let's Do Lunch dieters. Once you do, you'll want to get started on Let's Do Lunch right away.
And there are many success
What about
stories.
the refined products? You know, the refined breads and
Well, that's what I was
flours.
talking
Are
about. That's what I was talking about.
eliminating
Empty
that kind of
calories.
stuff.
And those are the
Okay.
empty calorie
Okay.
carbohydrates
Right.
that do no good in your body except turn to fat. But when you eat the carbohydrates I mentioned to you, it eliminates the cravings for those. And by the way, the book is in all the bookstores,
Right.
and it's online at Amazon.com. So it's phenomenal, and it just plain works.
Now, you had said that night you cried out to God. You believe that this is the plan that God gave you.
I'm doing this. I'm not taking any profit on this book, okay? I believe God saved my life with this, and all I'm doing, guys, is I'm passing that blessing that God gave me on to other people so that God can bless them in the same way that He blessed me.
But did it come to you like as an idea? Did you write it down? You know,
The first time
Lord
I had
say,
an idea,
eat
Stephen, the first time I had
3-to-1 ratio
well, I'll
of
tell you,
fruits to...
that's absolute truth. The first time that it happened, I was in the middle of sleeping, and I was startled awake. And that's exactly what happened. I got up, I wrote the idea down, put it on my dresser, and the next day I put it into effect, and it worked. And there was a series of those awakenings. There was a series.
Yeah, that's
Anyway, a series of awakenings that created this whole thing, and then over a 15-year period. And it wasn't until I gave it up to God that it all came together.
Now that's interesting that it's kind of God gave you the idea and then you had to go and try it. I mean,
Right.
did you ever question it? Because like one of the things that you say that God gave you,
I wasn't even thinking
is-
about God. At the time, I wasn't thinking about God.
did you
it was
know it
all
was
Roger
him?
Wilson. But it wasn't until I said, Lord, from now on, if you'll give me these final answers to make this whole thing come together, I'll give you all the praise, glory, and honor for the rest of my life.
Right.
And it was like instantaneous.
Now, one of the things you say too is that you don't have to exercise.
No, you
to-
don't have
to-
to exercise.
to lose this
Exercise is
weight.
great. I mean, it's wonderful for your health. and you'll lose a little faster when you exercise, but it's absolutely not necessary. Exercise is not necessary to lose weight.
And so without exercise and eating what
I didn't exercise.
You didn't, did you?
No, my wife is an exercise nut. And she couldn't lose that last 8 pounds she wanted to lose. No, she never looked like she needed to lose 8 pounds. But in her eyes, she wanted to lose the 8 pounds. Well, she lost 23.
Yeah, we
How long have you kept the weight off?
Been about 13, 15 years now.
So
Wow.
it's something that's stuck. It's not just a fad that you lose it and gain it back again.
That's the whole thing about this is because you're eating in all the food groups, you never get sick of the food you're eating. And by the way, there's over 70 recipes in the book that you can eat until full and lose weight.
Wow. Wow. Well, you know, Roger, thank you so much for coming in and telling us this. It really is very different. It's very, very revolutionary, but it works.
When you read the book, you're going to say, I don't believe this, but do it. Try it.
Try it.
It works, and you'll be blessed by God the same as I was.
Well, we'd love to have you back, and you know,
Love to
just
come back.
a lot of information in there, some great things, because there's a lot of people out there struggling. Again, it's called Let's Do Lunch. You can go onto our website, find out how to purchase the book. And do you have a website as well?
Yes, letsdolunch.com.
Letsdolunch.com. Thank you again, Roger.
Well, he likes to say he was a professional diet failure. Then Roger Wilson found a plan he says works for him. He details it in Let's Do Lunch. He joins us here in the studio this morning. Roger Wilson, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's start off. I mean, you look trim, you look comfortable, you look happy.
Yes.
But you say you went through 30 years of morbid obesity.
30 years of being morbidly obese and absolutely being miserable. Here I was, this successful guy, you know, financially. I retired at 41 years of age, and I was miserable. I was out of control. I was desperate. I had a 5-foot, 60-inch waist. I weighed 425 pounds, and I ended up sitting on the edge of my bed and praying to God that I would die and go to heaven. And the reason for that is because every diet that I ever tried didn't work for one of two reasons. Either I was always hungry, or I would crave foods that were not allowed on the diet.
Right.
With Let's Do Lunch, you're never hungry because you eat until you're full at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And Let's Do Lunch eliminates all your cravings. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly how the book works.
Let me ask you that. I mean, and that kind of leads into that question. But let me ask that. A lot of folks will talk about diet plans and say the same thing and say, hey, you're going to be able to eat, enjoy.
Right.
What's the difference between yours and others?
All right, that's what I'm about to tell you. I'm not going to say read the book. I'm going to tell you how it works. To eliminate cravings, I discovered that there are certain carbohydrates that you can eat until full and lose weight. And those are all the beans, the butter beans, the lima beans, the pinto beans, the northern beans, the navy beans are all non-fattening, and you can eat them until full and lose weight. Also, this will blow your mind, corn is non-fattening. Therefore, corn on the cob is non-fattening. Popcorn is non-fattening. In fact, Orville Redenbacher's Smart Pop, 94% fat-free butter popcorn, hard to get out.
Committed it to memory, haven't you?
Yeah, that butter popcorn, I believe, is totally non-fattening, and I explain why in the book. Peas are non-fattening. Salads are non-fattening. Now, here's what happens, Rick. When you eat those carbohydrates, they're non-fattening and can be eaten until full and lose weight. And there are 70 recipes in the book. Simple, delicious recipes that you can eat until full and lose weight. But when you eat those carbs, it eliminates the cravings for the carbs that are fattening. Now, let's go further. Fruits are carbohydrates also.
Right.
But I discovered that you can eat all the sweet fruits you want. The cherries, the grapes. There's 100 calories in 10 to 12 grapes. There's 100 calories in maybe 6 to 8 cherries. You can eat all the cherries you want, all the grapes you want. Have you ever tried frozen grapes?
Oh, very good.
Wonderful.
Well, let me ask you this, though. I mean, you talk about all this, but it's still within reason. I mean, you don't want to overindulge.
No,
you don't want to overeat them.
I'm sorry. You can eat as much as you want. As much as you want, because what will happen is you will not eat as much, you won't eat any more than you did before. What happens is you will eat the same amount as you have been eating, but it won't turn to fat, and therefore you lose weight. Now, let's go on with this, the cherries and so forth. The cherries, the grapes, the frozen grapes, the pineapple, the watermelon, the fruit smoothies, which are like a fruit milkshake, bananas. You can eat all those fruits you want. I don't care how many calories are involved, and you'll lose weight, and then that eliminates the cravings for the desserts, candy, and sweet snacks.
And for all the bad stuff in between.
Right.
Hey, Roger Wilson, the book is called Let's Do Lunch. You can also go online at letsdolunch.com and check it out and get more information as well. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Atkins, South Beach, The Zone. Our next guest says, ditch 'em all. Read his book and he'll show you how to live a healthier, more realistic way to get the weight off and keep it off. So, let's do lunch. That's the name of the book. Roger Wilson is the author and he joins us this morning. Roger, pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
You know what? Everybody seems to struggle with their weight.
Right.
You lost 230 pounds 15 years ago and it's never come back. How'd you do it?
Never come back. Well, with other diets, Mark, what happens is one of two things cause you to fail. First, you either end up being hungry all the time, or you end up craving foods that are not allowed on the diet.
Okay.
With Let's Do Lunch, you're never hungry because you eat until full at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And Let's Do Lunch eliminates all your cravings.
Okay.
For example, I discovered that there are carbohydrates that are totally non-fattening and can be eaten until full and lose weight.
Oh,
and
really?
those are all the beans, butter beans, lima beans, black beans, pinto beans, northern beans, navy beans. All the beans are totally non-fattening.
Wow.
You can eat them until full and lose weight. Corn is non-fattening.
Oh, really?
Which means popcorn is non-fattening. Corn on the cob is non-fattening. For example, Orville Redenbacher's Smart Pop 94% fat-free butter popcorn, I believe, is totally non-fattening. Peas, and I explain why in the book.
Yeah.
Peas are non-fattening.
Yes.
Salads are non-fattening.
Right. So you found a way to enjoy food,
Yes.
lose weight, and you say without any exercise at all.
Without any exercise at all. And let me tell you one other thing about those carbs, Mark. When you eat those carbs, it eliminates the cravings for the fattening carbs. Now, let's talk about carbs as far as sweets are concerned. Fruits. The sweetest fruits are carbs. The sweetest fruits, cherries, grapes. Have you ever had frozen grapes?
No, but I
They're
hear
wonderful.
They're good. Is that right?
Bananas, watermelon, pineapple, fruit smoothies, which are like a fruit milkshake. You can eat those sweetest fruits. Now listen to this. No matter how many calories are involved, there's 100 calories in 10 to 12 grapes and maybe 8 cherries. I don't care how many calories are involved. What I'm saying is you can eat as many of those fruits as you want and you will lose weight.
Wow.
Now, not only that, but when you eat those fruits, it eliminates the cravings for the desserts, candy, and other sweet snacks. Now, let's do lunch. Let's do lunch. You eat extra protein at lunchtime.
Okay. And you say that's your only protein of the day?
Well, you can have protein, in other forms, like the beans and so forth.
Okay.
But you can have protein more than once a day, but it just means that your weight will come off a little slower.
Okay.
But let's do lunch. You eat extra protein at lunchtime. Hamburgers, steaks, chicken, turkey, fish, but extra protein so that it holds you over until dinner time without getting those afternoon fattening snack cravings.
Yeah, those kill me.
Yeah.
Now, what has this done for your psyche? I mean, how do you feel psychologically?
Well, psychologically, I'm a whole new person. I mean, I sat on the edge of my bed. I was out of control. I was very successful, retired at 41, but that meant nothing because I was miserable. I was lost. I sat on the edge of my bed, tears rolling down my face. I had a 5-foot, 60-inch waist. I weighed 425 pounds, and I prayed to God that I would die and go to heaven.
Wow.
But that's all changed. I lost 230 pounds and 24 inches around my waist. My wife wanted to lose 8 pounds, and I could not convince her to do this. She said, if I ate this way, I'm going to gain weight. I said, honey, look at me, I did this. She said, I don't care, you are a big man. And so I had to convince her, Mark. So finally, she went on the program. She didn't lose 8 pounds. She lost 23.
Wow.
My 85-year-old mom lost 51 pounds without exercise of any kind. And if you go to letsdolunch.com and click on bulletin boards, you can talk with other Let's Do Lunch dieters. Once you do that, you'll want to get started right away.
Wow.
And the book's in all the bookstores and on Amazon.com.
Roger, what a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks so
God
much
bless.
for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Hey, take it off and keep it off.